Syria, man's very first homeland. Or as the famous French archaeologist Charles Freulot, interpreter of the cuneiform texts discovered in Ugarit, put it, every civilized human being in this world has two homelands, his native country and Syria. When Syria is wounded, the whole world bleeds and suffers. Hence, how can we heal Syria's wounds so as to restore happiness to its people? In mid-March 2011, the early signs of the perilous crisis first emerged, a predicament with consequences that the country continues to suffer from until this very day. In fact, it has already become a steadily aggravated humanitarian crisis, labeled as the worst ever after the Second World War. Over 13.5 million Syrians have been forced by the crisis to leave their homes and consequently become internally displaced. Furthermore, more than 5 million Syrians have taken refuge in neighboring countries. Not to mention the very large numbers of people killed, nor those inflicted with permanent disabilities. The losses sustained by the national economy have been estimated at $1 trillion, while more than 50% of the country's infrastructure has been demolished, looted, or burned down. Ever since the crisis broke out, the Middle East Council of Churches, which has contributed to alleviating the sufferings of the Iraqi refugees who fled to Syria with the occupation of Iraq in 2003, laid out appropriate plans for countering the crisis in Syria and meeting the needs of the affected and the displaced people of all classes and affiliations. This massive task was accomplished by a team that was well trained on humanitarian work and speedy response according to internationally acknowledged standards, so that all the aids necessary were provided and in cooperation with local and international partners which supported our efforts. The programs, which have already been implemented and are still steadily underway all over Syria, include the following: in-kind deliveries, the distribution of food, hygiene and cleaning kits for families and particularly children, in addition to the distribution of clothes, shoes, kitchen utensils, mattresses, and medical devices necessary for each and every family. Efforts were exerted to relieve the pressing financial burdens which the displaced families sustained, either through direct deliveries, vouchers, or donation received from abroad. The water and sanitation program involved the restoration and rehabilitation of the vital drainage sector in both public and private schools, as well as in schools and medical centers. As a consequence of the destruction of the greater majority of Syria's service infrastructure, many areas have suffered from the scarcity of clean potable water. Our relief teams undertook the distribution of water tanks and filters so that the families in need could get clean, healthy water. They also delivered water to areas where the inhabitants were short of water or sustained supply cuts. In view of the deteriorating general health situation brought about by the crisis with water shortage and the devastation of health facilities, it was imperative to boost health education in a bid to upgrade personal cleanliness among school children and raise their health awareness, and subsequently that of their families. The endeavor also aimed at enhancing preventive behavior to curb infections and contagious diseases. Hence, health awareness sessions were organized in schools in a simplified, pleasant way that would enable children to smoothly be aware of how to wash their hands, care for personal cleanliness, and protect themselves against diseases. Audiovisual facilities, theatrical arts, and meaningful games were employed to achieve the set objectives. Sabotage activities made cities and population communities suffer from the piling up of garbage and earth. So, in cooperation with the municipalities and local councils, the MECC encouraged displaced young men and women to be involved in cleaning campaigns, which aimed at garbage and earth removal and eventually keep such population communities clean. The participants did the job in exchange for cash wages, which rendered the beneficiaries active and productive members of their societies. Besides, the endeavor revived their hope of a better future for themselves and for their households through their contribution to the resurrection of the neighborhoods where they now live. As the crisis continued to aggravate at all levels, approximately half of the country's children dropped out and deserted their classrooms. So many students had to leave their homes with their families because of acts of violence which changed both their social and educational environment and resulted in an inevitable decline of their schooling levels. The Council organized special makeup courses that would help students catch up with their peers and eventually attend regular classes. The program also included sessions that were dedicated for elevating the impact of the trauma that the children suffered from. Besides, the Council contributed to the settlement of part of the students' school fees and expenses so as to financially support their affected and displaced families. Furthermore, specialists conducted courses whereby the teachers received training on how to deal with children who had suffered severe psychological shocks following the violence which their affected areas had witnessed. Although strenuous efforts were exerted in a bid to maintain the generation's psychological health, as these youngsters will be the mainstay on whom we rely in the resurrection of the new Syria, and hence they should be psychologically healthy. The program also provided teachers training on child protection policies, which the Council plans to spread out to all schools in the future. To mitigate the affected people's economic burdens, the Council provided cash aids that covered a large portion of the housing rents of low-income families who had lost their homes in hotspots due to the ongoing crisis. Payments were made following a thorough field inquiry into those families' social circumstances to ascertain their needs. To help young and unemployed people, as well as those who had lost their jobs or their businesses, the Council launched a program which provided training courses and cash grants to relieve the economic sufferings of such most affected groups. The project aimed to build the capacities of youths and to enable skilled workers to reinitiate their businesses. This was achieved through vocational training and dedicated courses on how to invest in small projects. The program thus contributed to both networking and social cohesion through enabling the beneficiaries to get involved in a small-scale individual project or partnership, and through the rehabilitation of skilled workers who have lost their lifetime investments in the current ordeal. Some workers have actually managed to restart their workshops in new and convenient locations. The professional fields, including sewing, carpentry, brassware works, hairdressing, electronics, and many other professions which Syrians have always been famous for. In view of the horrible impact of the affliction on families as a whole and on women and children in particular, the Council paid special attention to health awareness programs that addressed women going through tough circumstances. The main objective was to raise the beneficiaries' awareness of the importance of clean and safe nutrition for their families and of the right means and ways to deal with the common diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and sexually transmitted diseases, as well as the need for early tests for breast cancer and general disease prevention. The session also touched on the household safety and the good health of their children. As humanitarian relief work in Syria requires workers well qualified in this domain, the Council has sought to build the capacities of all those involved in humanitarian activities in the churches and local NGOs so that they're trained on how to best deal with the beneficiaries. Advanced courses were organized that dealt with various topics, such as the principles of the Code of Relief and Humanitarian Work, the Human Law, and the Code of Conduct, which the workers have to observe, abide by, and never violate, in addition to effective leadership and communication skills and several other themes that humanitarian relief workers need. In order to empower women, who have been the most badly affected segment, and in a bid to preserve some traditional handicrafts, the Council runs training courses where women are taught crafts that can practice at home. At the conclusion of each such course, cash grants are given to outstanding beneficiaries to help them start their own businesses. Besides, an exhibition is organized where all the beneficiaries' artworks are put on display. The services rendered by the Council, whose motto is "Service with Dignity," are in fact a message of love and peace to all the countrymen in the hope that such services may bring them close together, make them love each other, and work hand in hand on building a new Syria on the basis of freedom, dignity, and justice. Such endeavors are a reflection of the vital, pioneering role work which Christians have undertaken in the wake of the Levant. These original inhabitants of the area still believe in that civilization role despite all the huge challenges they face in playing it, as they hold on to the objective of achieving genuine citizenship and equally shared civil life rights in the country. This message of love would not have come into being without the support of the MECC partners and the backing of our donors all over the world who share us the belief in that love-based human duty. They have all contributed with us to the repercussions of this humanitarian suffering, prompted by a firm belief that each and every human being deserves to enjoy a decent life, irrespective of their color, race, or religion. Syria, the land of civilization and heavenly religions, has throughout its ancient and modern history alike embraced with both love and compassion millions of people who took refuge in it as a consequence of the many wars witnessed by this region. Some of them come even from distant parts of the world as well. This Syria has been undergoing a monstrous ordeal since April 2011. Yet Syrians still hope that their country will be back as a safe bosom for all people, its people and the whole world.